Fact check us. We're not perfect. Don't listen if you don't like what we say. Some of what we say is opinion, fact, and/or expertise and experience. It can always be challenged. Do your own research before following ours or anyone else's advice. You're the only one responsible for the actions you take. Guidance, advice, direction, and information work differently for everyone based on a wide range of factors. Results will vary, but own your choices. Trigger warning. We say stuff you might not agree with, we might offend you, or say something that goes against your belief systems, or question your personal reality. You've been warned. Go away now if you're easily triggered. Cuss warning. We got lazy and left the cursing in. Warning, warning. It sucks that we now have to put warnings on everything. What would happen to the human race if we just let lack of common sense prevail and removed all the warning labels?
What's up, everybody? It's Eric and Dr. Mears for How, Why, What. And I'm going to let Dr. Mears kick off this episode with a little tidbit intro about what we're doing.
We're going to just gripe about everything.
Darwin's rolling over in his coffin. The fittest are surviving much less often. Now everything seems to be reversing, and it's worsening. Someone flopped a steamer in the gene pool. Now angry mob mentality is no longer the exception, it's the rule. And I'm starting to feel a lot like Charlton Heston, stranded on a private planet.
And that is No FX. The idiots are taking over. And that, I think, is from 2008, but I'll double check that. It might be 2003. I don't know. It's a funny ass song, but, you know, it really says a lot about stupidity. And while we're not going to jump into politics and relationship stupidity, we are certainly going to jump into business stupidity. So, I mean, we could go down any rabbit hole, really, but at this point, let's just keep it where we belong, in business.
Right. We'll stay in our lane. So maybe we'll start that off like gripe number one. All these people that don't stay in their freaking lane. Don't tell me what to do about XYZ when that's not even your freaking lane. Can we start there?
Please.
and how many idiots there are out there who are peddling their snake oil and telling us, oh, you've got to buy it. But that's not even their lane.
So here's the thing. Do we have like 4 hours for this one topic?
I don't know. We'll keep it tight. We'll promise our listeners, right, that because we want your feedback too. What are you griping about? What is your freaking soapbox and thing that just makes you lose your mind?
Yeah, don't call. Thank God we don't have a call-in number for that one. Let's talk about staying in your lane. Here's the thing, right? This is the one thing I think all small businesses face, and all businesses that hire another small business, shut the fuck up. You hired the expert. You didn't hire that person to tell them how to do their job. You hired them because you couldn't do their job. And I notice this in a lot of businesses. People get hired. They're an expert, let's say, in market intelligence, you know, doing data research. And they have their own little monkeys pushing buttons to get the data. Why the hell did you hire those people in the first place? If you're going to go down a different rabbit hole, get different data that might not even be vetted because Google said so. And then
or some Gen AI said so, but we'll get to that in a second. Yeah.
Right? AI said so. And then you're going to go argue with these poor folks that are actually doing their job. It's insane. I mean, it's even, listen, would you go in and tell your doctor and be like, he's like, well, you got cancer. And you'd be like, well, no, that's not cancer. That's a piece of bad cheese. Well, no, bitch, he ran tests.
Oh, well, no, wait. We're going to crack that one open because this is what has been brilliant on the other side of Gen AI is that people are putting their symptoms in and they're coming up with these weird ass diagnoses in a lot of cases that their doctors haven't been able to find, haven't been able to figure out. And doctors have been losing their minds for years saying, oh my God, stay in your lane, honey. WebMD, like it's no match for my years of experience and expertise. But now Gen AI is on the scene and saying, hey, I have this thing. I don't have cancer. I have this other thing. And the doctor's like, no. Like just stay home or stay away. But I get why they resent it. Like it's, you know, for the most part, Gen AI is not finding all of the things, right? Every once in a while it's finding some gem, but on the day-to-day, if you look at how many people are being treated daily by doctors who are experts in their field, unlike my poor mother's doctors who are just, I don't even know beyond how they even have a license, but we'll get on that another day. And the thing is, back to that though, stay in your lane. Like me, doctor, you patient, me, years of experience, you sick. Let me fix you, right? Let me heal you. Let me do what I do. But people don't. Everybody thinks they're a freaking expert because they read some book or did some Gen AI or something. It's just...
Yeah, and that's everything. I mean, aside from the doc, I think the doctor one is a real deep dive because there's a whole slew of like tests and looking at things under microscopes. But let's throw that back at business for a minute. Like looking at things under microscopes, there's a whole foundation to what a professional does. They go to school, they learn the foundations. Now, when I taught, and I know you taught as well, right?
Still teach.
You're not taking a college freshman, and throwing them, into their doctorate, you know what I mean, level stuff, because they have to do what? Learn the foundations. And that's what brings people into their professional spaces. They've started with all the rules. Did you know? And I think I said this on another podcast, or maybe I said it privately to you. There's all these people now, content creators and photographers and graphic designers or content, these content media makers who couldn't tell you the definition of graphic design or couldn't tell you what an f-stop is on a camera. You know what I mean? They wouldn't know what a focal length is. They wouldn't know the difference between a cinematography lens and a photography lens. You know what I mean? But yet they go around and they sell their services because that is what they've convinced through good marketing and decent work. I'm not going to fault their work. Some people put out good quality work, but they're not going to get a job filming a BMW commercial, because they're not professionally trained in that field. And I think it's the foundationals that, we talk about if I talk about the equation of a microscope, it's understanding at that very foundational point what it is, and that they've built upon those foundations and they've added that experience to their list so that they know what's a failure, what's a success, when to break the rules, how to break the rules effectively. And when you have some dude coming along being like, can you send that in a Canva file to me? No, I can't.
But that's just it. It's all this technology that's really a false enabler. Everyone who has an iPhone thinks they're a photographer. Everyone who has an account at Canva thinks they're a graphics designer. Right? But there's so many components and pieces to that, how is the ad, for example, the creative ad going to be received? What's the messaging? Is it on point? What is the market currently consuming? How is it consuming it? Where is it consuming it? There's all these other pieces that come with the expertise. And that's why, oh my God, it drives me crazy. Like the whole back to the stay in your lane. And I have clients like, no, Laurelyn. So like, what about da-da-da-da-da instead? Or I'm going to do this. Like, I think I'd like to be able to better manage those interactions and do it myself. Like you're hiring me to do this, telling me how to do it. And then at the end, of course, they gripe about paying for it, but it's like, well, I did a lot of it. It's like, well, you're not supposed to.
Listen, they could listen. If somebody wants to tell me how to do my job, they could pay me $1,500 an hour to watch that. I'll take it. I'll stand there and supervise your failures and successes. I'm not going to fault people. Like, again, some people have good ideas and they don't know the first thing about what they're doing, but I'll give it to them. But that still doesn't mean they have the right to shit. Here's the thing. It's respect. It comes down to respect. Staying in your lane comes down to respect. If it was a doctor, a lawyer, okay, which are huge needs, because you don't know, like, you can't go into a court under a potential, you've been indicted for manslaughter and effectively defend yourself. You know what I mean? You're going to respect and hire your lawyer. End of story. And so can you imagine? Look at all those crazy people when you watch the true crime things that threw away their lawyer and then they defended themselves. Who was it? Ted Bundy defended himself.
Oh my God. But there's been so many like that. Well, it's the same thing. Look at how many cases where these women are going and getting Brazilian butt lifts, or they're getting this or that, or they're getting teeth and veneers. And these people aren't even qualified as dentists or cosmeticians or plastic surgeons, and they're going, and they're dying. They're getting Crisco fat lard, put
Cement.
into their buttocks, right?
I think there's an urban legend about cement. Even
yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, I think. Well, urban legends, right? I think that they are fun. They make for good memes, but that's about it. But that's just it, right? You have to go and you have to trust the expert and stay in your lane. And it's getting so hard to tell who is the expert. Everything is fake. Here comes my next gripe, right? You look at all these influencers, or not even just influencers, small businesses who are acting like they're killing it. Like, you don't know that they are or not. But when you get on the inside, you're like, wait a minute. You've got the rented Rolex. You've got the rented Lambo. You've got the rented home. And you're like, yeah, look at me. I'm styling. Oh, I can do this. I can help your business. But they can't. It's all fake.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a percentage of people who are flashing wads of cash out there, and those wads of cash are real, but that's pretty cheap prop money. It's pretty convincing. I mean, go online literally to propmoney.com and buy suitcases full of this shit. I mean, it's really, it comes down to that marketing piece, right? They're marketing the dream, right? And that's like marketing 101. Hit the emotion buttons.
That's right.
Go for those hot buttons. I mean, if you walk into, who was it? I think it was like Zig Ziglar, one of the most prolific salespeople. I think he wrote the original book on selling, closing, the art of the close or some shit like that. But he was like, find the hot buttons, listen to what they're saying. And I think he was originally a vacuum cleaner salesman, but though, again, I'm not fact checking that. I'm just trying to draw from memory from like 20, 30 years ago. And the goal was, you sell the person who wants it, you find their needs and you turn those into wants, you hit those hot buttons, and then you play the guilt again. If there's you play the guilt against the other person. So it's always about the emotion. And that's what people are online who are faking their success, or they're using AI, we'll do your videos and they'll be amazing and this and that and the other thing. And there's this crop of really great cinematographers out there that are amazing, who make astounding videos. And then there's group with AI and other cheap methods and cell phones. And I'm gonna lie, I've seen some people do some amazing stuff with a cell phone, but it's not the same as that BMW commercial. You do get what you pay for. You do get scammed when you buy into all the glitz and glamour, for sure. And for a small business, it's always that point, right? It's I only have X dollars to spend, but I want the BMW commercial. And so you have to find that happy medium. You do have to say, number one, don't tell the person you hire, even if they're not they're really like high value cinematographer, don't tell them how to do their job. Because if you looked at their work and you were awe-inspired and you drank the Kool-Aid, let them go do the job you hired them for.
Oh, I know. But that's the thing. I identify with that as a small business owner. Like, we all want the champagne, but on a beer budget, right? I mean, that's part of the problem. And so you've got to really hunt. And this brings me up like to my next gripe. It seems like I'm the only one who's doing all the griping here. So number 3 is the whole, oh my God, skip the webinar. Like, I lose my shit every time, because I have wasted so many hours. You're waiting. Oh yeah, this is the problem. You're playing on the emotions. Are you experiencing this as a small business owner? Yes, overwhelmed. Oh yes, fatigue. Oh yes, so many people, all the noise, oh yes, right? You're building it up. Wait for this like big climactic event. And then they get like, oh, look at all these testimonials, right? Insert fake ass testimonial 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, whatever, it's all in there. And then if you keep hanging on just a little bit longer, I'm going to tell you the secret. Then at 58 minutes or 59 minutes for the really ballsy ones, then they say, here's the secret. The secret is you need to buy my book, buy my method, buy my BS, and then everything will work out for you. And oh, by the way, I don't even do the shit for you. You have to DIY. I'm just telling you how to. Oh my God. I just want to reach through the screen and just throttle who's ever on the other side.
Well, I'll put the link to our episode that covered that argument in the description below. But yeah, it's I'm not going to beat up on that gripe because we covered a whole episode on that. But since I'm leaving you out in the cold to do all the griping, I will bring my first bitch to the table.
There you go.
My first bitch is really the angry people, the angry customer, especially when they are a B2B. That's my biggest, I think one of my biggest complaints in the B2B space is when a business hires a business and they don't give that other business owner latitude for a mistake, or they don't give that other business owner the right communication if there's a problem. They immediately go into angry consumer mode. I paid for this. I want that. You should have gave me this. Poo you. Fuck you. You know what I mean? And they forget that they're business owners too. And they stop remembering when that consumer was at their counter with the same gripe, similar gripe. I paid for X, I want X. Not respecting that the ovens were shut down because the gas was turned off because there was a gas leak in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? Shit like that. You know, I feel like as a business owner, you need to pause just for a minute. You know, the same respect you expect, that's a mouthful, you should be giving, because every business owner faces a slew of similar problems, ups and downs. The timing might just be different, but a lot of times it's the same thing. And again, while you're not responsible for a business owner who they lost 2/3 of their staff because everybody got sick suddenly because some kid brought hoof and mouth disease to work, you do need to give them a little latitude, because you would expect the same latitude as a business owner when a customer gave you a gripe, or even another business gave you a gripe. You know, there's that sort of, respect our community space. And that really, because it irritates the shit out of me when somebody's doing a good job, and they make a minor mistake, and another business owner loses their shit and doesn't want to pay for it anymore. Oh, I should be given a discount. I should be blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. You're a business owner. You go through the same shit. Show some respect to a brother or sister.
But that's just it. I think we've lost the plot on humanity. We're so angry about everything. We're so impatient, intolerant, and ignorant on the whole that we don't. And we're not delving, into emotional intelligence and trying to regulate ourselves emotionally. It's just, I want what I want it. And if I didn't get it, damn it, I'm going to be mad, I'm going to be pissed, and I'm going to tell somebody about it. Yet, like to your point, well, if they really thought about it, maybe that small business owner had some stuff going on. People have sick babies at home, dying dogs, dying parents, all of this other sort of stuff that they're trying to deal with they're getting a divorce, right? Oh, just found out hubby's cheating on me. Fabulous, right? That all this stuff of life is happening, and there's people have no tolerance. Now, I get it. If you are consistently performing poorly, right? You are just that exactly that I'm just saying. And it's starting to show a pattern, and all this kind of stuff is happening. I get it, right? Then your business is truly in trouble because you're not hitting the mark at all. But then you get that one glitch. It's also about how you handle it. Hey, what's going on, Laura? Like this, your reviews showed you were really good, but this isn't what I expected. This isn't the behavior. Can we talk about what's going on? Can we figure this out? But no, everybody just rises to angry eruption, right? People just go nuclear.
And I think part of that is I think it's money. It comes down to money, right? It always comes down, in my opinion, to money. Now, yes, there are circumstances where you've subcontracted work out, and you're actually, that subcontracted work is on a deadline, et cetera, and things happen. So now you as a business owner have to go back to the customer and you subcontract it. But as a business owner, you should already have a plan B. Anybody who's in business, so let me just jump back to the money part. If you are so tight, if money is that tight for you that you are going to lose your shit because another business owner that you've hired sort of dropped the ball in midstream for whatever reason, as long as it's not a genuine poor performance thing, but it's more of a genuine reason. Oh, I got into a car accident, and I broke my finger, so I can't press the button. They'll figure it out, but give them a chance to figure it out. If you're so tight in the situation of money that you have to default immediately to, I should get a discount, and I should do this, and I should get, you really need to sit down and look at your strategy as a business, and you should be always prepared for that. that problem, that default, that issue that may arise. Because if you're living hand to mouth as a business, you're doomed to fail. That person's money, or that person is not going to make or break you. You're already broke if you're living hand to mouth. If you're stressing over how am I paying the rent next month, or even 3 months or 6 months from now. If it's a matter of like timelines, because you're serving a customer and you've subcontracted work out, you should always have a plan B. So what I'm going to say on the deadlines and the timelines is that whatever your deadline you give your customer, you need to give your subcontractor a much shorter deadline if you're not doing that already, right? They should have a shorter time window, not the customer's expecting it on the 25th, and that's what you've told your subcontractor. Your subcontractor doesn't need to know when the customer's expecting it. Your subcontractor needs to know when you're expecting it, so that it should be a minimum 7-day difference, minimum. And that's really riding the rail on that. I mean, but in that case, that's how I feel about, if you're chasing the money because you're strapped as a small business, you really need to rethink your business strategies. And if it's a matter of because you have a customer to serve, you should have a plan better structured for those imminent problems, because problems are always going to come.
That's right. And this ties into, assuming you don't have any more on that gripe, into my next gripe, but it relates to that anger, and it relates to companies and even individuals who are just really struggling financially. And they'll come to me and they say, hey, Laurelyn, I heard you're a grant writer, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yes, I am. In fact, grants, contracts, RFPs, proposals, all that sort of good stuff have generated, billion plus with different employers and stuff over the years. Okay, great. So I've done a lot of that stuff. And they come to me, I'm such a freaking bleeding heart. And they're like, oh God, like I've got this, I'm doing this thing. And so many of them, their hearts are so just absolutely wonderful. They're heart-centered, they're change makers, they're just committed, right? Their passion is their purpose, right? And they want me to respond to this grant that's due tomorrow. Laurelyn, it's due tomorrow. I know it's a little bit tight, but I'm sure you can get it done because it doesn't look that complicated. And I really need the money for next week. Oh my God. So you've just gone from taking advantage of my bleeding heart and genuine interest in helping you to pissing me off, because you're telling me it's not that complicated. You're telling me I should be able to just get it done because, of course, you rank in priority versus everything else going on in my life between now and tomorrow. And you have this crazy ass expectation that the money's going to be in your bank account next week. That is not how grants work at all. You have to plan for it. You have to write and respond to it. You have to have a strategy. You've got to look and think about what your competitors might be doing. You've got to actually create the grant response. You have to fluff it and polish it so it's actually freaking competitive. Then you have to submit it on time, largely a day or two in advance, because there's always some portal glitch that you can't get the thing submitted, and you gotta do the help desk and blah, blah, all that stuff. And then you've got to wait 6 to 8 months for the grantors to review it and review all the other hundreds of submissions before they make a decision. And oh, by the way, as good as I am, you're not guaranteed of winning that freaking thing. And it's just, oh my God, I just go down into rabbit holes with these people. No, Laurelyn, I don't think you understand. Like, no, honey, I do understand. I really, really, really do. Oh, when we started.
Well, it's a good point. And I mean, this goes back to, I think businesses, if they're chasing grants or RFPs or anything like that, part of their strategies need to be looking at those RFP dates or those grant dates when they are due. And just automatically know this. As a small business, you should automatically know this. If you have to rush a project fast, very fast, the quality of your work is guaranteed to suffer 100,000%. Guaranteed to suffer. So right off the top, if you're chasing an RFP or a grant and it's due in 7, 10, 14 days, you are automatically consider yourself close to not winning that grant, because unless you're a high level expert, like that can write it in a snap because you've written so many and you're a high performer in that space and an expert at writing those responses, there's a good chance you're not even getting past that first threshold, because you're going to make a mistake. And when you're responding to a grant or an RFP, literally the dot over the I can be the difference between a disqualification or not. I mean, it literally can get that ridiculous. I think we said it one time. You and I were talking about like line spacing is even considered.
Yeah. Oh yeah, margins, all that crap. Like that's the stupid fluffy stuff, right? Oh, and you might have forgotten the form, or you didn't check one freaking box on the form, and that procurement person who is determined to get their buddy in, who's the incumbent, is going to spend their time finding ways to disqualify you, not to review what you have or how good you are. Their focus in life is to disqualify you. Right? Because they want their buddy to win, or they've built a relationship, right? It's not even a buddy because they're trying to, toe that line, being professionals in procurement and not doing anything shady. But 82% of responses are disqualified. And people don't know that either. And same thing, again, on this topic of all of it, stay in your lane, allow enough time to be prepared. So the company like, oh yeah, I've got this RFP proposal, Laurel, and just get it started, give it back to us, do a couple of things, take a look at it, and then give it back. And then we'll just finish it because we're just going to do it, and we're just not going to pay you for, to get everything done. And they submit it and they go, yeah, we didn't win. Like, oh, really? You pulled it together in a few hours. What do you expect? Like, I'm good, but I'm not that good. No one's that good.
Goes back to stay your lane. It goes back to respect the professional. Like all these tie in. These are just good habits to have.
Yeah.
Respect the professional you hire, who knows the business that you're asking them to do. A professional grant writer is a professional grant writer for a reason. Go back to the lawyer. If the professional grant writer was instead a professional lawyer, you'd let them do their job because your life can be on the line. Your business could be on the line. Well, same principle. Professional grant writer, professional RFP writer, somebody who's writing these responses, and even in that space, a lot of times there is a difference. Some of these people are like, oh, I don't respond to DOD stuff. That's because that's a whole different slew of regulation. You know what I mean? Because they're in this other space doesn't require it. So you have to let them do their job. And you also have to be smart enough to know they're not, again, when you have up to 82% of RFPs are disqualified, let's just really dial this number in for a minute. 82% are disqualified, yet I think what's the number? 22% of all businesses respond to federal grants nationwide, or federal RFPs nationwide. It's like 24%, somewhere in there. Think about that for a minute.
I'm actually going to challenge that, because from the data that I have seen, of the 19 million new businesses that were formed during the Biden-Harris administration, less than 1% applied for any form of grant, RFP, government contract, or other form of funding. Not talking about loans.
We're going to see what SBA says.
Yeah, let's see. I like it because I'm happy to be wrong, but that's what I've heard, that people just aren't responding because they get overwhelmed. I talk to so many small business owners. They don't even know how to freaking set up their portal, right? You've got to go into the portal and set up their profile.
So here's where I got the number wrong. The goal of Small Businesses Administration itself is to award 23% minimum goal. That's their minimum goal, to award 23%.
Right, that's their diversity goal, which used to exist. I don't know.
No, the diversity goal is actually very low.
No, but for a small business, right? Like, it speaks to the diversity, not always having the same big guys, right? So that's their goal. Small business.
Yeah, their goal is 23%. I think the diversity goal is like abysmal. It's like 5%.
Well, I think it's gone now, but that's a whole other story. Yeah.
Well, you know that they never actually ever actually hit their goals. They never hit that 5% goal.
I know. I've gone to so many different conferences and events where they talk about it, whatever, insert agency ABC who says, yes, this is our goal. We didn't quite hit it. And I know I can see it, because this is, oh my God, monster growth, that you see the RFP, it comes out, it's a set aside. So they want a female business like myself, or some disabled veteran, or whatever the category is, right? Special category. And they put the RFP out there. Great. You're thinking, oh, okay, now I've got a chance at this because I fit the category. They put the RFP out. Woohoo! Oh my goodness. Lo and behold, you freaking win it. But then you find out, oh, they awarded it to a couple of different vendors. So it's okay. They're hedging their bets. Fine. Sure. So that's that's bad enough. But you're like, okay, fair, right? Because so many businesses go under, the small ones. Well, all right. Then you find out that they don't really actually have any budget plan to spend on these set aside award winners of the thing. And then you're like, if that's not enough to frost you, then you find out that, 1 year later, they put out the same RFP and they call it O2. And then the year after, O3. And they just keep adding more set aside vendors, but they're not actually spending any money. It's such bullshit.
So Deltec, according to Deltec, which is a government contracting prime contractor, 27% of small businesses as of 2022 received federal contracts. And over the last 10 years, small business response has dropped 40%. The thing we understand, and I don't want to make this a procurement episode, but the thing that we understand is that they've made bidding more and more difficult over the years, in my opinion, from my experiences as I've watched things, at least at the federal level, because it's a matter of weeding out the crap. Because what we're not seeing here is the failure rate of businesses on federal contracts. It's massive. The failure rate from, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll have to look it up, I saw something, I guess when I first started in this doing contracting, I think it was around 2016, I saw the failure rate of businesses under federal contracting, small business failure rate was astronomical, was over 60%.
Right. That's why I get why they hedge their bets. Get it. Totally get it. Yeah.
So it's, again, I should double check that status, that number, but it was relatively high. But again, putting that all aside and going back to staying in your lane and understanding when you're hiring somebody, and again, whether you're doing it to bid on a contract or you're going after a grant, these things are made difficult to get because post award, there's a whole nother animal there, right? There's compliance.
Oh, yes.
There's compliance, and you have to comply with the rules of that grant or that contract. And that's why these small companies, because at one time, Lockheed Martin was a rinky-dink little shit company, right?
Long time ago, but yeah.
Long time ago, but as they grew and they picked the lane, they got contracts, they kept going, they have compliance officers, and they grew beyond 500 employees, and they became no longer a small business. But there's that whole section of compliance even applies to grants and small businesses. And that's just not at the federal level. That's at the local level too. You have to meet compliance. And they make it difficult for small businesses to win awards. And then the other thing, which I'm going to jump back to, another gripe I have, because this leads into the gripe. You had said something about, my friend, the incumbent, winning the contract. And I'm guilty as fuck about this. Right? I am not a person that wants to go to networking events because I can't stand that boring ass shit with a bunch of fat people. Sorry, fat people. Got to say that. Don't want to offend anybody.
But you did.
But I did. Fuck him. No, but I'm talking about that old guy who, 6'2", he's got that giant belly, he's wearing the really bad tie, the really bad shirt, and he's just another networking guy weaving around his 30 years of experience, how he's the smartest guy in the room. I don't want to be around those people. I want to be around energy. When I go to a networking event, I want people on fire like me, who want to succeed, who are looking for all the answers, who want to try new things, who are introspective. And that's the thing, you got to go out and you got to network with these contractors, these primes, you got to network with these agencies, you got to network with these not-for-profits, because what people don't realize, as with those grants and those RFPs, is that your character is best remembered when it is present. Your character is not remembered or is not applied to the written word if people don't know who you are. And it's not to say nepotism or friends. That's to say a small business needs to get out there. They need to be out there and they need to be networking with people in the right places. So if there's a big not-for-profit event with all these not-for-profits that have grant money to go out and this and that, you need to be at that event, even if you are a for-profit business looking for that grant money. You need to be making friends and communicating, because those same people, their job is to tell you things, not how to necessarily win the grant, not like as a friendly nepotism, I'm going to do you a favor thing, but their job is because they have to get rid of that money. They have to use it. It's a use it or lose it proposition for them. And the more they put it out to market, the bigger the budget can be next year if the success rates are good. Small businesses got to stop hiding behind their computers or in their retail shops, because part of being a small business is being out in the wild doing your job in that space. Go out on the street and hand flyers. Walk down the street, comedy clubs, strip clubs, tour buses, you name it. Somebody's got a little thing out there giving away a flyer. I mean, if you're going to do that for your business, go do that at an event where the people are the people you want to meet that can help you build your business bigger, not just a consumer. You know, anyway, I'm getting off on that.
No, I get it, but that's the whole thing. So many of my small business clients, that's why they come to us, because they're trying to get seen, right? Invisible businesses make no money.
Yeah.
That's the whole freaking problem. And on the procurement thing, I want to come back to that. Like I said, no, you don't want to make it about procurement, but I have suffered through this. You think like, yay, hallelujah, dance, pop the champagne, right? Woohoo, we got an award. But oh my God, every 3 months, you have to fill out all of the reports. What are you doing? How many small businesses have you contacted? What's your effort been in DEI to recruit other businesses who fit those special categories? Describe your marketing efforts to attract these other DEI businesses. Describe what you plan to do if you get a task order. Describe this, and like, oh my God, and then fill out this other form, this other thing. Like, it's so much operational shit. It just makes my head spin.
So now I'm going to cool off on the small businesses. My next gripe is agencies, government bodies. Let me tell you something. And this is probably part of the reason why a lot of small businesses shy away from procurement and government work, is because the bureaucracy is obscene.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally like watching a, slaughterhouse. Like, it's so ridiculous, the mess that a lot, and I'm not going to say what agencies I've dealt with, but let me put it to you this way. Personal direct experience, not the first one. I get my POC, my point of contact. This is my point of contact who contracted me to do the work with their department. That's my point of contact. And we are rocking and rolling. We work good together. I mean, that's part of it. In that particular case, I went through an interview and I got selected as probably part of because of the vibe, right? Good vibe in the interview, and that scored points on the rubric. All of a sudden, the person who's above my POC decides that instead of that person being her point of contact, they're going to slide in a new person to take the burden off and oversee things. Well, now the new person is so by the fucking book, right, that they have to have a meeting for everything. Like, their job is literally, I think, meetings. Like, I can't, it's like their whole job is reporting and meetings. But then they want to be part of the production process. But they're so busy doing their meetings, they're so busy now having to have a meeting about a meeting, that they're not giving the feedback necessary to move the contract along at a timely rate. Meanwhile, there's a fucking deadline and a contract end date. That is absolutely frustrating. The system in many, many states is so broken at the state level. I've had this experience. I don't necessarily have it too heavily at the local experience. They're a little bit more, they play button because they're local. They're like community, right? So they're a little bit more family friendly, I would say, argument's sake. But at that state level, it gets really fucking hairy sometimes with this bureaucracy. The federal level is just like clean cut. It's like, do your job or go to jail.
Right. Very, very, very simple. But that's just it. The state, it is squishy. Like, and then they hold behind all of their compliance and all this. So actually, I got into it with a procurement officer last week for a state agency. Very, very cold, chilly, like super biatch. Okay, super duper. I'm thinking, oh my God, honey, this is so not good. And so the whole thing was insurance had changed. I changed some of the terms of my insurance. The one that they didn't like was that I'm not carrying it anymore, the policy for an uninsured company vehicle. Like, well, I know that's your policy, but let's talk about this like human beings. We're delivering virtual training services. We don't own or operate a company vehicle, and hence we don't have any reason to have an uninsured, vehicle policy. So what are we doing here? All right, Laurelyn, I'll mark you as non-compliant. And it's like Like, there's no conversation. Like, what the fuck Twilight Zone is this? I just don't get it. It's just, I was absolutely stunned. So in order to keep playing ball, I have to dig in, pay another $800 per year to have my uninsured company vehicle insurance policy, so I can continue to wait for a task order from this agency. And you know who's the worst? The boards of education. I am, again, we said we weren't going to get political. I bleed blue, as we've shared before in this podcast, but oh my God, there are some things that do need serious reform. And I think the Board of Education is a good place to start, because our kids are getting the disservice.
Yeah, according to you, I bleed shit brown, so we're good. No, I agree with you. There is, in the case of, and again, it's so, because there's people who will bend the compliance rules. I've had the experience where I've gone, and I usually do it at the RFP stage. I do during the Q&A. I'll say, we're doing XYZ. We don't need this. Can we get this waived? And a lot of times you get the no, and sometimes you get a yes. And I mean, so it just, I think, depends on, depends. Let me jump into this, Greg. All these procurement people, and I won't say all, let me dial that back. A lot of these procurement people at these state and local levels don't know how to write a fucking RFP.
Well, there's that. And the ones, I'll just jump in, hold your thought, keep it going so you don't lose it, that they have used the same RFPs in the past, and they just scan it in, and then they put the scanned image in as part of the RFP, and the AI is good, but it still can't even read that. And you're like, oh my God, I can't search this shit because it's a freaking screenshot of a screenshot of a screenshot of a photocopy, and it's not even straight. It's all angle. Oh my, oh.
I'm sorry, that one hit my funny bone, because I oh my God, that's
beyond, right?
Oh. Yeah, and yeah, that's it. So I'm going to digress into my next thought, because you brought up AI, and there's a twofold issue with that too right now too, which is driving me nuts. For you small businesses who are using AI to respond to RFPs, please go in and still write your own RFP, even if you use the AI as a basis for the research, and you want to cut and paste and you want to copy, go in there, read it, and continue to write it. It is so important, because now there are tools coming out. Okay. And in some RFPs, I have noticed in responses, they specifically are now asking, did you use AI? What was the AI source you used? They're specifically asking that. But the other thing is that there are tools, not only is there just now people being taught to read something and pick out words that says, oh, this was written by AI, because nobody uses that fucking word anymore. Right. But there's tools now that are able to scan paper documents you create and say, oh, this was 98% written by AI, right? Or whatever.
Grammarly does it. Grammarly.
Yeah. So please stop writing your RFPs solely on the basis of AI. There are these amazing AI tools being touted out there that will write RFPs for you. And I am sure there are a few of them out there that are really good, and you might win on them. I'm not going to say you won't. I can't say it's a zero sum. But you really need to keep in mind that we are getting to a place in AI where it's going to plateau very short. It's going to have nothing else to learn. And that's actually a big question. That's a whole nother conversation. I don't want to digress, but there's now even talks about, is it dangerous and possible to let AI teach AI? But then that starts to alter reality. So with that said, let me go back to finish my thought. This goes to RFP writers, procurement people. Do not fucking use AI to write an RFP. Stop. I have caught a few. I have caught them, and I'm just like, AI does, even simple AI like ChatGPT and Gemini, they hallucinate. There's only right now 1 or 2 AIs out there that are zero hallucination, and I don't even think they've been released yet to the public. But they hallucinate. If you don't know what AI hallucination is, go look it up. It's basically, it makes mistakes. And the other thing is, AI is nothing but really a massive research tool that pulls data from what's available to it, which means that data was manually created by someone who potentially makes mistakes, or by paid sources that were directed to a very specific outcome in that data, because it wasn't this publicly funded unbiased or non-biased research that was done. It was biased. It was skewed. The classic way for all you procurement people out there who are purchasing agents is if you really need to do a resource, I give to find resources for your RFP to issue. I give kudos to every one of those folks that takes the time to do an RFI, a request for information, because you are getting it directly from the horse's mouth, from the very people who bid every day and do that work every day. Kudos to you. You other ones using AI.
RFIs. Oh my God. Now you're going to trigger me and get started because I think I think they just use it to CYA because they've got the buddy, the incumbent, this, that they want there, and everybody gets inside information. And then you get the RFP that comes back. You must have 17.5 years of experience in this field. Like, oh, get the hell out of here. Right. Like it's so specific and you're thinking, yeah, that's right. So you haven't picked a favorite winner or anything. Sure, it's open. Yeah. Okay.
17.5 years experience.
No,
Yeah.
I've seen some crazy stuff. 11.5 years of experience. I'm like, get the hell out of here, right? Or you need to have at least 7 employees within the zip code of this or that. You must have at least 2. I mean, I've seen this stuff. You must have at least 2 special needs or LGBTQ or whatever within your group or that. And you're like, okay, this is really specific. You know, I embrace the diversity and think that's really important. But when they're saying it at that level, they've got somebody in mind because you don't
they have somebody in mind or they let AI write the damn thing.
Well, there's that. But well, even those, I don't think that's an AI thing. I think that's just, they picked a buddy and they're just trying to stack the odds in their favor. You'll never pass the rubric.
Here's the thing, the DEI thing, and that's a whole nother conversation. And you know my opinion on how that was the original concepts were usurped. But the set-asides are what they are. It's a fair requirement to say you should have ex-disabled veterans or ex. I think it's a fair requirement. I'm never going to say it's not. Because part of that, again, that's a population that is consistently be passed over, and not just that population, but a lot of the disabled populations and things like that. My other gripe is we have to dial back.
Right, because we've got to end here on a positive note, right?
Right. No, I'm not going to end on a positive note.
Oh, come on now. Well, we have
to dial back. And this is, again, whether you're a small business, whatever you're doing, or you're an agency or whatever, you have to dial back a minute and actually go back to ability. Because just saying have this person, whatever they are, disabled or autistic or whatever, you can't just say have them. And you can't just hire them to have them to meet a number. They have to have the ability to do the job. So there's a lot of things, I think, that need to be addressed in this case. My gripe is not the diversity. My gripe is the ability. Because if someone doesn't have the ability to fulfill the job, that's like this. Don't tell me I have to hire a freshman videographer because if I don't, it's ageism, right? That person doesn't have the ability yet to do the job that I'm bidding on. That's really important. That I think we sort of missed a lot of that in that DEI quota bullshit that started to happen. You know what I mean? And we saw people doing it just because they were doing it.
Well, when anything becomes checkbox, right? Like that's the problem.
Anything becomes monetized.
Well, that's it too, right? You've got to look at it with an ability to apply a critical thinking lens, like me talking to that procurement person last week. Okay, clearly you intend to be non-compliant. It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm asking why I have to pay for an uninsured company vehicle when I don't own one and I'm delivering services virtually. It makes no sense.
And this is going to bring my next gripe in.
Oh, are we still going here? Because
yeah, I know. You got to go. I know you got to go. But I'm going to round this up. Here's my next gripe because I got 10 minutes on the clock still.
10 minutes on the clock? What?
Yeah. So here's my next gripe is do the work. Stop acting like you're doing the work. Stop because your job says that you don't have to do the work because of compliance or because the rule book said so. Put in the work and find the solution. And I don't care where you are in your area. I don't care if you're a government contractor. I don't care if you're a government office. I don't care what you are. I don't care if you're a small business. Just because you put these rules on the books doesn't mean that the rules are absolute, because there's always going to be precedent somewhere. You just have to take the time to find it. You just have to go up the food chain to ask the question, or you just have to make the judgment call to make a difference. Because I think in small business it's super important that people absolutely need to put in the time regardless. And again, I go back to whether you're an agency, a government agent, a government office, state, federal, local, or you're a small business or a corporation, put in the time to find a solution, because you might, by staying super rigid on things, you might actually be missing opportunities.
My next gripe is when podcast co-hosts don't let you take a break to go to the restroom. See, I love it. I got you stuck for words. That has never happened. Woo! Go me.
So now that we've disclosed that you have to use the potty, all right. Okay, so we'll wrap this so you could go use the potty. Anyway, I got to go on a meeting. I got to try and square away a meeting tonight. Where do we want to end this on a positive note? Because I think we've made gripes, but we also gave perspective and what we believe are common sense solutions. I don't think, we walked into this being complete bitches.
No, but I think that's exactly where we should leave it. The couple of key things. One, it's good to talk about the stuff that's on your mind with other people and recognize that you might have a different perspective, right? You had a different set of lived experiences and you're going to be looking at a different way. So you want to hear the other person and hear them out and recognize, okay, we may agree to disagree, but that's all right. So I think having that forum is important. I think another positive note, and learning from that, I think another positive note is just really thinking critically about why something is the way that it is, because it helps you uncover ways to look at the problem and the solution, potential solution, differently, right? And that's because as all business owners, we all want to crack that nut. There are so many problems out there that we're facing. How do we get through it unless we literally think out loud about them and talk about it and get these different perspectives and feedbacks and just like, it might trigger something. So I don't think this was just a super gripe fest or anything. It's not like, thank goodness, Eric, you've been my therapist. I got it all off my chest. That's not it at all. I just feel like, wow, okay, these are things that a lot of business owners are facing. And I'd like to hear what they're doing about it, right? I mean, it's really an invitation for dialogue.
Yeah, so folks, leave comments. We'd love to have some comments down. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, you can't comment. If you're listening to us on YouTube, definitely leave the comments below. We'd love to hear what you did to solve a problem, where you ran across maybe something we talked about, or maybe tell us about a problem you've run into. We'd love to hear about it. All right, folks, we are out of here.
No, I'm anxious to, we love getting feedback and hearing from folks who want to hear about the topics that you're concerned about.
Goodbye.
All right.
We're out, folks. Goodbye.
Taken over, spreading like a social cancer. Is there an answer? Mentor membership exceeding. Tell me why and how are all the stupid people breeding? What's in it's really elementary. The industrial revolution has flipped the bitch on evolution.